Goodrich, and I'm going to share my story with you all on how I went from a Dallas Cowboy football player to spending 6 years of my life in prison by some bad choices that I made. Youngest of 4 boys, and my parents, they had a rough time with my oldest brother. My oldest brother was in the gangs and the drugs, and Chicago is pretty much infested with the gangs and the drugs and that atmosphere. I know a few of y'all are from Baltimore, the D.C. area, so y'all pretty familiar with that inner city lifestyle. So my parents decided to do something a little bit different with me and put me in sports. So I started playing football and running track at 5 years old, and when I got to junior high, about 7th grade, I started getting recruited by a few of the powerhouses around the Chicagoland area. So I ended up going to one of the top programs in the Chicago area for high school. And at this time, I made a goal list. As a freshman in high school, I made a goal list. My goals: be a captain on the team, get a scholarship, win a state championship, be an All-American. And some of those goals at that time really weren't realistic. I mean, I was 150 pounds as a freshman, so really I didn't think that I really had a chance of being an All-American. The biggest thing that I wanted to do was give myself an opportunity to go to college. Top 4 choices were Tennessee, Notre Dame, Michigan, Miami. I chose the University of Tennessee, and at that time they had Peyton Manning, and we were a top 5 program that whole time I was there. So graduated high school on the honor roll. My life is headed on cloud 9. I'm sitting on cloud 9. Get to University of Tennessee as a true freshman. I set my goals. My goals were pretty much the same thing: NFL, national championship, All-American, all-conference. I wanted to start for 3 years on varsity, be a team captain. We started just chipping away wins, and when we doing that, we started getting more and more confidence. We had awesome leadership and a guy named Al Wilson, Peerless Price. I mean, those guys were unbelievable leaders. So we just chipping away one game at a time, one game at a time, one game at a time. I mean, defense making plays, flying around, doing a bunch of stuff. So we end up going undefeated. Meet Florida State for the national championship game. And same thing. We were undefeated. Florida State had lost the game. They come in like a 7-point favorite. So we looking at them. We didn't get into all the favorites and stuff, but the coaches, don't nobody respect y'all. Don't nobody respect what y'all doing out here. Don't nobody respect that y'all went undefeated in the SEC and we number 2 in the country. So we say, you know what, we're going to go out there and earn our respect. We're going to go out there and show these people. So at this point, a lot of scouts are telling me, hey, you know what, you're a top 5 corner and whatnot. And at that time, I don't know if y'all familiar with the draft, but if you're a top 5 corner, you're probably going to go first round. And as a junior, so I'm like, I'm starting to think like, man, I got a chance to leave early. Now, I haven't really accomplished none of my goals in terms of captain, all SEC, none of that stuff. So I'm like, man, this is a goal of the NFL, forget all that stuff. So I remember talking to Coach Foreman right before the game, and Coach Foreman was like, what are you going to do? Are you going to turn pro? I'm like, Coach, if I have a good game, I'm gone. I mean, that's what I told him right before the game. So the second quarter, Peter Ward, that was my assignment the whole game, cover Peter Ward. So he run a out route to the wide side of the field. I don't know what he did that for. Pick 6. So I ran over there to the sideline. Coach Foreman was like, what's up? I'm like, I'm gone. You know what's up. I come back my senior year, got voted team captain. We won a national championship. I was MVP of the national championship game and only playing a half. So I'm sky high, the number 1 rated corner. And that's when my goals, the same goals, that's when I felt myself starting to shut it down, because I accomplished what I set out to do. Being the number 1 corner, I stopped pushing. The dumb stuff that we did at Tennessee, we would go out there and buy stuff before we get drafted. So, and that was the cool thing, in my opinion. That's what we thought it was cool, to go out there and buy $60,000, $70,000 cars without getting drafted. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm going first round. I can buy this $100,000 car. So I started thinking, I'm like, man, $100,000 for 1 car, that's ridiculous. I'm gonna get $100,000 for 2 cars. So I go out there. No, I'm serious. I mean, that was my mindset that I had. So I go out there and get 2 cars, man. I go out there and get a Benz and a Navigator. And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I made a smart choice. I got to Dallas, I felt like I made it. I felt like I accomplished my ultimate goal, and I completely shut it down there. I went from being a leader to a follower to everybody else. They talking about, man, I think I tried to smoke weed 1 time at this point in my life. I'm trying weed, I'm trying ecstasy, I got money, these girls, I'm chasing the girls around. I became what you would consider a party boy. I wanted to kick it. I mean, it's practice time. I would show up, hang out all night, 3:30, 4 in the morning, show up, sit in the steam room for about an hour in the hot tub and think I'm ready to go out there and practice. So I started breaking my body down. I had a few drinks that night and stopped drinking about 12 o'clock. And as I'm heading home at 2:30 on the highway, Interstate 35, I'm following behind the SUV. And I'm getting it, and I'm doing about 80 behind her. So she slammed on her brakes. When she slammed on her brakes, I slammed on mine. She veered this way, and that's the first time I see a stalled car right there in the middle of the road. So as I'm coming up on this car, it's an 18-wheeler kind of creeping by to the right. I know that my only way is to go left. I'm going to hit this car smack dead in the middle. So as I veered to the left, that's where you had three men standing, DeMont Matthews, Shooky Joseph, and Joseph Woods. DeMont Matthews died instantly. Shooky Joseph fractured his leg and shattered his ankle, and Joseph Woods died on his way to the hospital. And I left the scene. I left the scene because I panicked. I left the scene because of selfish reasons. I saw everything that I worked for flash in front of my face and didn't really want to deal with the consequences of what I did, the consequences of the choices that I made. First off, going out drinking, getting behind the wheel, and leaving the scene. All those choices led up to me making the worst decision of my life. I'm bitter. I'm mad because people wasn't coming to see me like I thought they would. They wasn't sending me money. They wasn't writing and stuff like that. So my life-changing experience happened one day when one of my boys in there, he was like, man, I see you real bitter and stuff like this. And Joseph Wood's mother was real vocal about not forgiving me. I mean, every article, every interview she did, she was real vocal about, I can't forgive him. And I would pray for her, to forgive me. So as I'm sitting around mad at you for not writing me or mad at you for not sending me money and stuff like this, my boy was like, how can you be mad at somebody and bitter about that and not forgive them, but yet you want this woman to forgive you for taking her son's life? It's hard for me to get up here and tell you all that I failed as a man. It's hard to sit there and look my daughter in the eye and say, yeah, your daddy failed as a man, but it's always a saying, you can get knocked down, but it's what you do when you get back up. I started to say, you know what, let me accept responsibility and figure out what can I do to make a difference in this world.